make a video today about why not everyone should go to college, or university, whatever you want to call it. Now, first of all, I'm going to say, the school system, the education system, doesn't care about you as an individual. It only cares about itself. It wants to make money. People just don't seem to understand this. I didn't understand this, but now that I'm older and have more experience, I realized. Okay, so if they wanted what was best for you, they wouldn't be telling everybody to go to university, if you know what I mean. So it's just a scam. It's money, because if everybody goes to college or university, well, that means the colleges and university are going to get more money. Simple as that. Okay. Now I was watching a video from the 1950s, and there's a room, like a meeting for these smart people. They had high IQs. They scored 120 or higher in their IQ, and the guy was talking to these people, the teacher, and he said, these people, you should all be going to college, which is not entirely true. Just because you're smart doesn't mean you should go to college. There's other options, but still, it made more sense than it does today, because they're saying only the bright people should go to university, so and the people who scored lower than 120, they're recommended not to go to university. So that's a very good idea, and I don't know if all schools did this or was it just this specific school, but either way, the way that school did it was very intelligent, because the problem is there's a lot of low IQ people out there, and really should not be going to university. But they're told, you need to go to university, you need to study, and if you don't get good grades, they just say, oh, you need to study harder. That's what they said to me, like, you're not putting the work in. I was putting too much work in, to be honest. And really, I shouldn't have gone to university, because so much stress and hassle, because for them it's just too hard. But if your IQ is about 120, then you're smart, you pick up information quickly. You probably get into university without working too hard, and it's just better that way. So yeah. So when I was 17, I did an IQ test. I got 70, which means 98% of the population has a higher IQ than me. Now lately, I've been reading in small doses. I think I didn't improve my IQ when I was at school, because I was just overloaded with work. It was just too much. Maybe if they gave me a lighter workload, I think I would have done a lot better. But lately, I've just been reading for half an hour a day, or I might make, say, a 10-minute YouTube video, maybe write some notes which might take 5 minutes, and then read for 15 minutes or something like that. So just half an hour of work every day. That's all I'm doing, and I'm making progress. So I'd say my IQ is definitely higher than 70. It's probably at least in the 80s by now. So that's a good improvement. So yeah, I was pretty much forced. It wasn't just suggested that I go to university. I was forced to go. Like at 17, I studied very hard from about 16 to 17, but at 17 during the summertime, I was like, nah, look, it's just not me. I'm not university material. So at 17, I had a bit of sense, and I should have been allowed just maybe get a job, whether that be a McDonald's or KFC, Tesco, whatever. But no, my dad wouldn't allow it. He was screaming and shouting at me. I told him I wanted to do an apprenticeship, a plumber apprenticeship or something like that. It was just one idea my head, and he said, no, you have to go to university, you need an office job, being a plumber is a dirty job. And you're shouting and screaming at me, telling me to study that summer. I just ignored it. I didn't bother studying, and that really had a negative effect on our relationship. So yeah, and at 18, I decided to do like a level 5 course. I was thinking maybe if I do like a level 5 instead of like level 8, then maybe I might be able to handle it. But anyway, I wanted to drop out after my first term, and my mother started screaming and shouting at me, saying, if you don't go to university, we're gonna kick you. I'm gonna kick you out." And she said, "You're 18. You've no experience. You're unemployable." Bullshit. Sure, that's retarded. Okay, I worked at McDonald's. They hire 16-year-olds at McDonald's, and you're telling me, an 18-year-old, that I'm unemployable? Maybe with my low IQ, it might be hard for me to work a job, but I'm still capable of working a job. And so yeah, I ended up going back to college. I went there for 1 year, because I was being forced to go. I knew I wasn't going to do well at it. I was going through the motions pretty much, and that's what happened. It just didn't go. It didn't work well for me, and after 1 year, I actually decided to go back, because I saw that there's this like fitness instructor course in Sallynog, and I thought maybe that'd be more fun. But I went there, and I didn't really like it. So I did that for 2 years, and finally, at the end of 3 years of college, 3 years of wasted time, I finally copped on and said, right, I don't want to go to university again. And my mother said, "Oh, it's okay now. You have a piece of paper. Oh my God, like that's fucking useless." I mean, my mother is not very smart. She's a bit of a gobshite. But anyway, so eventually, I was unemployed for about a year after I left college, and I think maybe it was a bit of fear because I absolutely hated college. I thought maybe working a job would be as boring as going to college. But eventually, I got a job at McDonald's in April 2019, and yeah, it was very difficult for me. Mentally, McDonald's was a tough job. Like my head would be wrecked after every shift. But I worked hard and I did well enough to keep the job. So at the end of my 3 month review, my goal when I got the job at McDonald's was just make sure at the end of your 3 month review that your contract is renewed, because I knew I was a slow learner. It takes me time to learn things, and so if I can get through that 3 month review, then I should be okay. And yeah, I got through the 3 month review. They give you like a score out of four. I got two, which is not great, but it was good enough to keep the job. Most people get like a three in their first 3 month review. So yeah, I got to keep the job, and yeah, so working at McDonald's is mentally difficult. Then going to university is a bit retarded. Okay, so yeah, I did that for a while, and yeah, so going to university just caused stress, hassle when I actually did try to do well at it, and then eventually I just gave up and I was just wasting my time. But my parents, they're not intelligent enough to realize this. Like I remember my first year of college, got into a bit of my parents are separated, so I got into a row with my mother. I went over to my dad's house for a couple months, and he was very strict on the studying. He'd be shouting and screaming at me to study, and I was going into college every day because I was sort of forced to go, but I wasn't putting much effort into it. Um, and eventually, I think around January 2016, my dad said to me, "Look, if you're not going to work hard with your studies, then get lost. I don't want to know you." And I saw that as my cue to just get out, and I did shortly afterwards. Because I knew my mother wasn't as strict, she wouldn't be like trying to force me to do well or anything. Um, yeah, so that led to my relationship falling apart. My parents, you need to be more realistic and just accept the fact that, like, I'm not smart enough to go to university, so I should not be going to university. I should be doing something I'm actually able to do. Working at McDonald's was a far better idea because, even though I found it hard and I wasn't great at the job, I was still able to do it. I was still able to keep a job. And that does far more for your self-esteem than going to university or college and just not fucking giving a shit because you can't do it. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, look, that I'm not unique here. Like loads of other people in my position, being forced to try to get into university, being forced to go to college when they've low IQs, when they really should not be going. We need to change this. I want to spread the message. Even though I don't have a big YouTuber subscriber base, I feel like if I keep working hard, if I keep putting the work in, I'll eventually get where I want to be. So, yeah, and one other thing, yeah, I think all the study I did when I was in around 16, 17, it caused brain damage. It lowered my IQ. It stunted my intellectual growth, and that's one of the reasons why I had such a low IQ. Like all those years of working so hard, I had an IQ of 70. So yeah, I wish I could go back in time and tell my former self, right, don't if you're in like say second or third year at school, don't worry about your exams. Don't give a shit about them. Just focus on improving your IQ first. So maybe do a bit of reading. Do as little effort, do as little as you can get away with in school. I think maybe if you get up to like a decent IQ, then maybe you can start putting more effort into your studies or whatever. So yeah, not everybody should go to college. It's just a scam at the end of the day.